Welcome, everybody. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. Website is www.growbecauseyouknow.com. This is the Morning Mindset, where we read a little bit from Think and Grow Rich and then discuss. I will be reading from the middle of page 85 to 88. Seem to be chock full of some good stuff for us to discuss. The person who stops studying merely because he has finished school is forever hopelessly doomed to mediocrity. No matter what may be his calling, the way of success is the way of continuous pursuit of knowledge. Let us consider a specific instance. During the Depression, a salesman in a grocery store found himself without a position. Having had some bookkeeping experience, he took a special course in accounting, familiarized himself with all the latest bookkeeping and office equipment, went into business for himself. Starting with the grocer for whom he had formerly worked, he made contracts with more than 100 small merchants to keep their books at a very nominal monthly fee. His idea was so practical that he soon found it necessary to set up a portable office and a light delivery truck, which he equipped with modern bookkeeping machinery. He now has a fleet of these bookkeeping offices on wheels and employs a large staff of assistants, thus providing small merchants with accounting service equal to the best that money can buy at very nominal cost. Specialized knowledge plus imagination were the ingredients that went into this unique and successful business. Last year, the owner of that business paid an income tax of almost 10 times as much as he was paid by the merchant for whom he worked when the Depression forced him into a temporary adversity which proved to be a blessing in disguise. The beginning of the successful business was an idea. Inasmuch as I had the privilege of supplying the unemployed salesman with that idea, I now assume the further privilege of suggesting another idea which has within it the possibility of even greater income. Also the possibility of rendering useful service to thousands of people who badly need that service. The idea was suggested by the salesman who gave up selling and went into the business of keeping books on a wholesale basis. When the plan was suggested as a solution of his unemployment problem, he quickly exclaimed, "I like the idea, but I would not know how to turn it into cash." In other words, he complained he would not know how to market his bookkeeping knowledge after he acquired it. So that brought up another problem which had to be solved. With the aid of a young woman typist, clever at hand lettering, and who could put the story together, a very attractive book was prepared, describing the advantages of the new system of bookkeeping. The pages were neatly typed and pasted in an ordinary scrapbook, which was used as a silent salesman, with which the story of this new business was so effectively told that its owner soon had more accounts than he could handle. There are thousands of people all over the country who need the services of a merchandising specialist capable of preparing an attractive brief for use in marketing personal services. The aggregate annual income from such a service might easily exceed that received by the largest employment agency, and the benefits of the service might be made far greater to the purchaser than any to be obtained from an employment agency. The idea here described was born of necessity, to bridge an emergency which had to be covered, but it did not stop by merely serving one person. The woman who created the idea has a keen imagination. She saw in her newly born brainchild the making of a new profession, one that is destined to render valuable service to thousands of people who need practical guidance in marketing personal services. Spurred to action by the instantaneous success of her first prepared plan to market personal services, this energetic woman turned next to the solution of a similar problem for her son who had just finished college, but had been totally unable to find a market for her services. The plan she originated for his use was the finest specimen of merchandising of personal service I have ever seen. When the plan book had been completed, it contained nearly 50 pages of beautifully typed, properly organized information, telling the story of her son's native ability, schooling, personal experiences, and a great variety of other information too extensive for description. The plan book also contained a complete description of the position her son desired, together with a marvelous word picture of the exact plan he would use in filling the position. The preparation of the plan book required several weeks of labor, during which time its creators sent her son to the public library almost daily to procure data needed in selling his services to best advantage. She sent him also to all the competitors of his prospective employer and gathered from them vital information concerning their business methods, which is of great value in the formation of the plan he intended to use in filling the position he sought. When the plan had been finished, it contained more than half a dozen very fine suggestions for the use and benefit of the prospective employer. The suggestions were put into use by the company. One may be inclined to ask, why go to all this trouble to secure a job? The answer is straight to the point. Also, it is dramatic because it deals with a subject which assumes the proportion of a tragedy with millions of men and women whose sole source of income is personal services. The answer is, doing a thing well never is trouble. The plan prepared by this woman for the benefit of her son helped him get the job for which he applied, at the first interview, at a salary fixed by himself. Moreover, and this too is important, the position did not require the young man to start at the bottom. He began as a junior executive at an executive salary. Why go to all this trouble, do you ask? Well, for one thing, the planned presentation of this young man's application for a position clipped off no less than 10 years of time he would have required to get to where he began, had he started at the bottom and worked his way up. This idea of starting at the bottom and working one's way up may appear to be sound, but the major objection to it is this. Too many of those who begin at the bottom never manage to lift their heads high enough to be seen by opportunity, so they remain at the bottom. It should be remembered also that the outlook from the bottom is not so very bright or encouraging. It has a tendency to kill off ambition. We call it getting into a rut, which means that we accept our fate because we form the habit of daily routine, a habit that finally becomes so strong we cease to try to throw it off. And that is another reason why it pays to start 1 or 2 steps above the bottom. By so doing, one forms the habit of looking around, of observing how others get ahead, of seeing opportunity, and of embracing it without hesitation. I am going to stop there. Keep it short and sweet so we can have plenty of time for discussion. Good morning, Josh. Good morning, Delta. Good morning, Ha. So good to have you with us this morning. Yes, Deborah. Anybody who would like to read and to catch up? The Google Doc is here, provided to us by Chuck. Thank you so much for that link. Make sure it goes back into the and we have Sabrina. Maybe.
Can you hear me?
Don't tell me you have your money cam on.
I do.
Yes, Deborah. You know, I saw a lot of things in there. Good morning, Monty. Good to have you with us. I think near the end of the reading, which is just the paragraph on page 88 at the top, the getting into a rut, you know, thinking that if I start at the bottom, I can work my way up. And yet it's so obvious that in my own experience, when I started at the bottom, there was no way up. You're already there. You're at the bottom.
Here I am.
You made it with the lower third. I'm impressed. Good morning, Sabrina. Good to have you with us. Well, I'm glad you think so, Monty. I think it's timely as well. I'd love to have you join us one of these times. I'm going to get you in here one day. Go ahead, Sabrina. We'd love to hear what you have to think.
Good morning. Well, there were a couple points there that I took this morning that I thought were rather interesting. And one of them was about the Stuart Austin Weir. And it spoke of him taking inventory of himself. So I thought that was an important point to mention. Sometimes we have to take inventory of ourselves in order to be able to move forward.
What
and
page? What page are you on, dear?
85. I went from 85 to 88. Isn't that where you
Okay.
read?
Okay. I started just a wee bit after that. Go ahead.
Oh, did you? Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
No worries. And I just wanted to note that he went and got the most highly specialized training that he could from the people that were best able to provide that training. And I think that's a really important point in our current age of the internet. There's a lot of people out there hawking a lot of wares that really don't have the authority to sell them. I mean, they're not, you know what I mean?
Well, they can sell them, but do they
have teach, rather, they're not.
Okay. I agree.
So.
And what struck me was a little further down, where the question is, why would you work so hard or put so much effort into a plan book to get a particular job?
I thought that was a pretty cool idea, actually.
That was great. It's like a proposal is what I read it as a business owner. When I was reading it, I'm thinking, well, this would be just like my putting in hours of effort into a quality proposal for, a solid contract. Let them know that we know what we're doing, and this is an outline of what we recommend you do, with us doing it for you. But this is who we are, what we do.
At first, I thought that was going to lead into the modern day resume, but now that you mentioned it, it also could lead into the modern day proposal.
Yeah, this isn't a modern day resume. What I read there was so much deeper. What was it? 10, 50 pages?
50
or 10
pages, yeah, it was way deeper.
This was, what I was reading was the other thing was this is an excellent way in today's day and age to augment a resume by publishing a white paper or an ebook and have it specifically targeted toward the company you want to work with, be that as an employee or as a business owner, where the ebook becomes the backup story of the list of skills and experience, the basics of a resume or a bio or a CV. Because he was going for an executive's position.
Yes, he was.
He was able to jump past the bottom rung of the ladder because he proved that he not only knows enough to be able to do the job, he's trainable, and he had some ideas that the company could use. And so he showed himself to be a benefit,
Yeah, I very specifically wrote down the plan book for that reason. I thought that it had a lot of, it has some good ideas. It has some good merit.
Good morning,
hey,
Deborah. I can't hear you.
She's got no sound.
No. Try again.
I like the idea of a plan book. I do. And with the ease of Canva these days, it'd be pretty easy to put something together.
So now you just went into presentation, which I like because the tools are here.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're here, totally here.
To present ourselves. I recall, and I may be off on my dates. Anybody in the audience that wants to jump in, please do, to discuss this, but also to see if I'm correct. I recall people beginning to use YouTube video to sell themselves, and it being awkward for HR people. They didn't want to go to YouTube. And this was back in 08, 09, 10. They were just starting to take advantage of the technology. Oh, Deborah, I don't know what to tell you. If you changed something, it didn't work, like even worse, because now we have no video.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick you out so you can try again. Because I want to have you in here. It's just not me. So am I right? I mean, I'm thinking, like I said, about 09. For some reason, it's really ringing a bell. And I think it's because it was really at the very beginning of layoffs after layoffs after layoffs, and panic was hitting, and people were trying to get work, and then they were being bumped up against, 300 people for 2 positions in a white collar job. That's never happened before
Yeah.
to them, And so I would get part of what I did at the time was I would find people for positions. I was not a recruiter. I was a sourcer. So I worked with recruiters. Hey, Deborah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you now. And we have
I don't know what went on this
victory.
morning.
Good job.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That was laborious.
Yeah. Well, but it was worth the effort, which is the reading, right?
Absolutely.
Which is the reading. Why go to all that effort?
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I like the idea of the plan, and of course, my mind is already going how I can use that in my business. But I was
that was powerful right there.
Yeah, because I'm constantly putting myself out there to people to get them to want to work with me as their agent. So, but I was really, the part that really hit home for me was really the last paragraph you read about starting at the bottom. I was, my parents always taught me, you gotta start cleaning toilets and work your way up if you want to be successful, because you got to know what your employees are doing and all of that. And that was how I was taught, and that's how I approached everything. And even in my current career, I was like, well, I don't deserve the $1 million listings because I haven't sold enough $60,000 listings.
Oh,
yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. Wrong answer.
Absolutely. I mean, and my mind has slowly been shifting on that, and it just really hit home. And it was really like a hard pill to swallow that, what, that's how I was thinking. And I that ends today.
Good job.
I deserve the luxury listings or the luxury client.
There's no reason why you can't have the luxury listing.
Oh,
There's no reason.
Different than any other, but
it's a listing.
Absolutely. And
it's multiple walls with interesting things inside that suit somebody, right?
Absolutely. And that's when I did them. I was also thinking, thank goodness my kids didn't follow that example of starting at the bottom.
So, part of what the book talks about is those ideas. So, Deborah, I'm going to throw an idea out for you just because it's something that I've always thought about. I live in Florida, not too far from the Gulf Coast, in an area that is predominantly retirement. Big homes, relatively expensive. And so when you come down here to look for a home, you can find a realtor to show you lots of homes. But I was coming down here from Washington State, and one of my thoughts always is why is somebody not marketing this area to me up there so I could have found this home before I came here to look?
Right. No, and
how many people are going from the north to the south all the time in retirement?
Yep.
Just a thought.
No, and it's funny that you say that, because I recently joined a partnership with an agent in my office who is in the process of retiring, and she's retiring to Florida. And in our business plan is to market up here the retirement community down there. So it's really awesome because that just validates our thinking, because nobody is doing that.
You're right. Nobody's doing it.
I'll tell
you what, when I'm ready to sell my home, I'm going to start contacting real estate agents up north.
Yeah.
And not down here, up north. I want people up north to know about my home.
With me.
There we go.
And my partner's down there working on a network of, because Florida is much bigger than Massachusetts. And she's already working on her network of agents down there for the referral end of our business.
There you go. Bingo. Good job. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you for the validation of our idea.
I thought it was my idea. I know. I'm kidding.
We'll give you a footnote.
According to Sabrina, you really need to pay attention to us, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Please, Sabrina, jump on if you have time tomorrow to Don Jacks and I are doing it's a real estate blab to help consumers, but that point is awesome. So I would love for you to jump on. Be 11:30 West Coast time, 2:30 East Coast time, and jump on. But if you have time for 5 minutes, throw that out there. Because I think other people have that. Other consumers have that thought. and
Oh,
just
I think
don't know
other
how to
consumers
go
have
about
that
it.
thought.
Yeah.
I really do.
And they don't know who to contact. And I mean, that's why.
That's the key. That's where I was going to come in with. That's the key. And I think what I'm getting out of the reading is the marketing of the personal services,
Mhm.
the creation of the plan book that this is how you work. This
Absolutely.
is how you serve the client. This is how you work with somebody, regardless of where they're coming from. This is who you are. So you have to have that background information.
Right.
And here's my national reach.
Absolutely. Global.
Or global, for that matter, yes.
Yeah. I mean, real estate is very global. The world is becoming flat through technology and everything. So.
Okay, we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
No, that the world is flat. We'll go further back into our educations and the knowledge.
We're not sailing off the edge.
No.
Okay.
We're sailing up and out.
Absolutely. But, I wanted to, I'm
I couldn't resist. Sorry, you said the world's flat,
bad analogy for the
small. I'll go with small.
Yeah. The starting at the top, I couldn't help but to think of myself in comparison to my youngest who just graduated from college. And he took a job, not because the pay was high, but he was starting in a higher position.
Smart.
Yeah. So, I was like, wow, and I know he has this book on his desk. So I think he actually has read it. So, I'm just I'm just very blessed that he didn't start at the bottom because
he might still be there.
He still might be there. So even his part-time jobs through college were towards his, the job this will get me the job I want when I get out.
Mm-hmm.
He got the job he wanted. So, we need to not only in our own shift thinking, but also in how we teach our kids or the other people we come in contact with, because I think that's very old school, starting at the bottom.
It's very old school.
It's my parents' generation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Think, you got to start at the bottom and work your way up.
And before them, the industrial age, when opportunities were there, and that's how it was done, because the starting at the bottom was the apprenticeship. You started at the bottom so that you could learn, so you could move up. And then it really started changing into the 1900s, in the 20th century, when you had to be noticed in order to do, to be.
Morning, Sean.
Yeah, we got a whole load of new people. That's fantastic. Good morning, Debbie, Pearl, Sean, Brad, Omar. So good to have you with us. Here's the link to the book in case you don't have it. We read 85 to 88. And the old school thought of got to start at the bottom in order to get to the top. And I love what Roy was saying, which is his tip of the day is you start at the top.
To get to the top, start at the top.
Quickest way to the top is to start at the top.
Yep, that's right.
I came from that old school like Deborah did, and I'm sure Sabrina did, didn't you? Which was, hey, Charlene, if you got to start out as a secretary, that's okay.
My first job, I wasn't old enough to work. You needed work permits.
Oh, so, me too, yeah.
I had to go falsify one of those for my
no, I didn't falsify.
$1.36 an hour job,
Oh, goodness, yeah, you started out a little younger than I did. Mine was, I'd worked a little bit, but my first official paying job was when I was 14. Worked at a Baskin-Robbins.
Oh, yum.
Yum.
Yeah, that was the first time I battled a weight issue.
Yeah. Friendly's up here for us, so I can relate. Peppermint stick ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamocha almond fudge. I don't think I'll ever forget that. I digress. So, but seriously, I was told that. No, it wasn't just at home. It was all around. You start out, if you want to be in retail, then you need to start on the floor, because that's where I started. And retail was you need to be on the floor and work your way up from the floor. And then comes the shock that most of the people that were in charge didn't know squat about what happened on the floor. It's like, what? Wait a minute. There's a disconnect here, So.
No, and I actually worked in the restaurant business for a while and was in management. And in the company that I worked for, their model was they hired from their ranks. So they kept promoting, start at the bottom. And I did go through the ranks, but I had to scratch, fight, yell, and scream to get my management position. And then I got there and went, yeah, no.
Put me back down, please.
Yeah, I made more money so waiting tables and being a server, you know.
Oh, no, that I believe.
Oh,
you know, I do believe that. So, and that oftentimes is the way of it when you go from in the employment sector, when you are thinking in terms of trading your time via dollar per hour. What I like is being the business owner. That's why I'm going to go back to what Roy shared, is the quickest way to the top is to start at the top. Landing the big projects.
Right.
Is that a quote by anybody, Roy?
He'll let us know. I don't know. I'm just quoting Roy. When I think about it, which it's coming to mind now, the biggest, yes, me, of course, Roy. It's a Roy quote. The biggest contracts that I've been able to land are the ones that I put the most effort into the proposal and was the most prepared for. Meaning that it went beyond, it went beyond just, you know, the initial, this is who we are and what we do and how we can work with you. It was the research into who they are and really what problems are they having and how are we addressing those problems. So I'm just going back to the plan book, which to me today is what I'm viewing as a solid proposal. And Roy, yes, Roy, I'll give it to you if that means anything. You gals want to give Roy that quote? Selfie quote. It's all Roy's.
Love it.
Go for it. Go for it. I got my own that Sabrina.
I did. There's no way for me to share it either. I can't share the meme I made for you, huh?
No, but that was a really cool meme.
Yeah.
What was it I said? It was really good.
Perfection is the thief of success.
Of action and success.
Of action and success. That's correct.
Yeah, that was one of those moments when you're struck with something and it comes out, and somebody recorded it because I never would have. It was fun.
Yeah, we had fun with that meme for a few days, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. She did a great job. So, all right, more thoughts about what we read. I really like, I'm going to follow up with, on page 87, that the answer to the question of why go to all this trouble, and in this case, it was to secure a job. And the answer is doing a thing well never is trouble. Mm. And I'm just going to stick with that statement. Is it really? You know, and where does that come from? That comes from my own internal values. Is that something that we're taught, encouraged to nurture? The idea that we're gonna do more, that it really isn't trouble. We want to do something well, do the job right the first time. That's what's coming to my mind. Jump in here if this is striking you as anything at all that you heard when you were growing up or learned how to do.
Yeah, no, you know, doing it right the first time. I mean, that's something that I think we've all heard. I mean, I've had many, you'll find out as we talk in the morning, many careers. I was a school teacher for 10 years. And, you know, I used to say that, you know, if you're going to do it right the first time to my 7th grade students. And it wasn't that I wanted perfection from them. I just wanted them to take pride in their work and give me their best effort. But do it right the first time made it sound like perfection. Oh. And I think in a lot of the students struggle with that. So it's like, hey, instead of do it right the first time, take pride in what you do. Put in your best.
I really like that. Yeah, because I would have been one to say that do it right the first time. That way you're not wasting your time.
Yeah.
Which sets me up for frustration.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad always said that. It annoyed the hell out of me.
See, even as I'm thinking about it, it's like, well, you know, if somebody says it to me, I'm going to say, well, then why the heck should I even do it? Because I'm going to mess it up. You're right. That's my thinking.
Yeah, and it allows that doubt to creep in. So
get that phrase out of my mind. It's still in there, obviously, because I shared it.
Yeah. And it's all, we know what we mean when we say certain phrases, but how it's perceived by others.
That's
and
not
in
even
our
in there,
own
Brooke.
mind.
What I'm realizing is that I am much better served if I can change that for myself to say that doing something well is never trouble, because that's the book wasn't telling me that it had to be done right.
Right. Just well.
Yeah, that it's worth my effort to do it well. And what's the definition of doing it well? I think, Deborah, you hit the nail right. That it's about putting forth my best effort. Did I do all that I could do?
Right.
Am I trying to take an easy route? Which I admit sometimes I'm lazy and I'm attracted to that.
Yeah, well,
Still.
Raise your hand if you.
All right.
That's not you.
Yeah, please. There are some that are highly disciplined. So respect those who are I view as so highly disciplined, cannot and will not be swayed. And in some cases over the years, I'm like that. And it's that major definite purpose I'm going to come back to, what I read to myself this morning, what I have out there. I'm not swayed from what I'm going towards, because it's going to happen. The plan is in place. Things are happening. One of the things is Sabrina's a part of. Something else is somebody else is a part of, because the plan's in place and things are falling together. So I'm not going to be dissuaded by that. But the discipline of, one of the reasons I wanted to do the morning mindset was I was finding myself not reading in the morning. And I'm a reader, but not reading something specifically targeted towards getting my thinking in the track of moving forward towards my major definite purpose. I'd read, but it would be other things. So that's what I mean when I talk with people and I watch them and I see just how disciplined they are. I admire that. Sean, have you had coffee yet? His typing, we don't have autocorrect in the comments area. How's that?
I think he knew that.
Okay, so other thoughts? It's just turning out to be all about me. I don't want it to be all about me. How about, let's go with the words that are capitalized, like he's yelling at us. And if you start at the bottom, you can't lift your head high enough to see opportunity. And that's because you get in the rut. Oh, okay. Stop. Yeah, I don't want it to be the Charlene Burke show. Nobody'd show up for that.
Not true.
Love the word.
What image link, Sean? Oh, you can copy the image link from Facebook. It works there. Okay, I'll go try that. I'm going to go find your meme.
Oh, okay. Generate winners. Good morning, Sean. So glad you're with us.
Good morning. So Sabrina.
Yes.
So if you have it up on Facebook, if you get it to where it's the light box version of the image,
right,
and then right click on the image and you should see copy image link or image URL.
Okay. I'm going to go find it, but I'm going to go get some coffee first.
And then if you paste that in here, everybody will get to see it.
Okay, well, then I'm going to go find that, and I'm going to go get some coffee. So I'm going to step out so somebody else can step in. But, hey, on my way out, in case I don't come back for a while, Charlene, I want to give you guys a little plug for Charlene Burke, if I might. She is also a virtual networking host, and her group meets on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Here's the link.
9 a.m.
9 a.m., pardon me. Wednesdays, 9 a.m.
Right after the morning mindset.
25 people in a room, so you can hook up with her there. We just lost Charlene Burke.
We lost our host. We're left to our own devices.
I'm going to go get coffee, you guys. I'll be back.
All right,
Toodles.
see ya.
Morning, Deb.
Good morning, Sean. How are you this morning?
Pretty well.
Good. So what did you think about the reading this morning for the discussion?
I love Roy's quote.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You want to start at the top, start at the top.
Yep. So much truth to that.
Because we are very conditioned. And I think that's what Charlene was.
Well, hello, she's back.
Is that conditioned? Is it just internal belief? Where does that thought come from?
Right.
We all have it. We all have, we start out with that belief. But where did it come from?
Start out with what belief?
The belief that we need to start at the bottom and grind our way to the top.
See, I think we're taught that.
Yeah, I believe so.
I was. I know I was. And reflecting on it.
Just because we're an industrialized country, and in that segment of history, the industrialization of countries, you had to start someplace. And so there was a progressive way to move up. But even if you look back over millennia of work, right? Of work. So whether it's mining or building or whatever trades they may be, you started at one level so then you can move up. But it was termed, I recall, more along the lines of apprenticeships or internships.
Well,
so you were taught the skills.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
No.
Think of some of, even some of the labor type jobs that we still have in this country, electricians, plumbers, they do an apprenticeship, so there's, there is a lot to learn in those jobs, but
it's skill-based. Right. It's skill-based, though. I don't know that I know that you can't just start out as a master carpenter.
Right. But just even what we call things, is my point, is it's the bottom, and I'm just trying to think of other, internships, lack of, you got to, whether it's marketing, business, people start out on an internship. So that's an apprenticeship.
Right. So when you're talking about jobs, you're absolutely right. I'm going to try to shift my thinking to what Roy's talking about, I think, and Sean, is that, and the book told us this, we're only on page 88 and I've already gotten so much out of it. In the previous chapter talked about the mastermind, that in the context of, I want to start a company, I want to have something done in particular. I don't have to have all those skills. I just need to be able to find the people that do what they tell me to do and pull it together. I'm bringing something to the table. I'm bringing my idea. That didn't work, Sabrina, and I have no idea how to guide you. I can't do images. But that you can start at the top. If somebody doesn't tell me that I have a limit, or if they don't say you can't, then I don't think in terms of I can't do it. Right. So it takes somebody or a group or whatever that somebody is that says,
thunder,
go this way.
Right.
Why are you whispering, Sean? That's creepy because we can't see you. We only have audio, and it's kind of creepy that you're whispering.
Because the cat, I have a visitor.
Oh, what a fabulous cat. Yeah, I know, Sabrina. That's why I said it. It was kind of creepy. Oh my goodness. But it was a whisper.
Yeah, fabulous cat.
Okay.
He every morning he just randomly gets in my lap and wants to cuddle.
Okay. Aloha.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Doing well. So glad you could join us. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Correctly. Thank you.
Excellent. So what are your thoughts?
Okay. Let's talking about start from the bottom. I think that the purpose of start from the bottom, that you want to get your foot in the door. And then when you come in, you have a purpose and you work your purpose. Because the people who are at the bottom stay at the bottom because they don't have purpose. Because, if you have a purpose, the desire to go in there, to get into the door, and do some learning. Just like we learn from technology today, because for any job that we want, we have to upgrade our versions. We can start with a version 1.0, and we want to get into somewhere else, we have to upgrade our vision as 2.0. Because
I
that's
like
again,
that. Yeah.
that's about the learning. And the mastermind, I love the mastermind because the power of mastermind is the collaborations. A lot of people come in with their own specialized knowledge. And then we form a force. And I call that synergy, because 1 + 1 no longer equal to 2. 1 + 1 can equal to 9. Or any number we can make it to.
I love that. I think the secret or the key to what you were saying, at least that's what came to my mind, is that starting at the bottom isn't a negative if you have a purpose, if you have a plan to move from the bottom forward.
Yes.
And I think that's what the reading was saying as well, is that, the guy in the reading didn't start at the top, didn't start his own business, but he started as a junior executive, jumping over 2 positions because he prepared himself mentally with the knowledge, but also presented himself and sold himself as somebody worthy of being in that position so that he didn't have to prove himself in those first 2. So what I'm hearing you say, Ha, is that if I go into a position or I go someplace and it seems to make sense for me to start at the bottom, I can move forward more quickly if I have a plan in place.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree totally. And again, when I go into any, to get into any door, I need to find out and I need to have the answer for myself. Why them and why me? And I go in and I work myself to prove that why me, and then to reassure that why them.
We lost Charlene, but yeah, I think that's a good point that you make is, if you're going to be at the bottom, start it. If you have to start lower, have a plan to move up, educate yourself. And you're right. Why not me? Why them? Why not me? And what's the difference? And what do I have to do to get that knowledge to get that next level?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm back, which means I can let Chuck in. This is Chrome. It's Chrome. It's not my system or my internet. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning.
Jump on in. Share with us. And Ha, by the way, I loved what you were sharing before I got bumped off.
I think that this is kind of a discussion kind of between what a winner's mindset is and I don't want to use the term loser, but a non-winner's mindset. You don't have to
rut.
Yeah,
I mean,
Roy keeps giving mindset tips, which is what he's saying is he was taught from the beginning to have a winner's mindset, not as what do I have to do, but what can I do to be a benefit to wherever I'm at. So you don't, you'll see people you wonder why people have jobs that put them on a lower socioeconomic rung. It's because they come in and say, what do you want me to do? Rather than, I always say around here in medicine, my term is for our team is 5 words. How can I help you? If you don't say it, you won't hear it. And you'll hear it at first because people are polite, but eventually you'll develop a reputation as the person that is maybe unreliable or someone that isn't encouraging or has that mentality to be more of a winner's mentality, someone who's always looking to progress. And the goal of every institution is the magic word is engagement, to engage their employees. And really what an engaged employee is someone who is, as you said the other day, trying to give more value than what they're paid for. I like to say, work for what you're worth, not for what you get paid. And all of a sudden you become super valuable to your team and to your business and your institution. And then all of a sudden you start progressing faster and faster and faster, because that stuff, if you have the mindset rather than just trying to, I guess, butter people up, people figure that out pretty quick,
Right.
and you'll progress quicker, and you'll just become a trusted, valued member of a team rather than just an employee. I'd hate to be called. I know a surgeon who was hired by the hospital. The hospitals are buying up the surgeons, and he was shocked because he was referred to as an FTE, and he didn't know that an FTE was a full-time equivalent. So it was going in the other direction as them referring to the people that work for. I mean, it goes in both directions. You're getting referred to as just an employee rather than a valued member of your team. So it goes in both directions, but you just got to make yourself valuable and hang in there long enough, and it'll pay off.
Okay, so for me, that doesn't work. So instead,
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Yes. Some of the things I've been told by those
I'm
who
outta
had
here.
no interest in moving me forward because actually they were threatened. They, just some of the jobs I've had and where I've ended up, the comments of you're too smart for this job. Yeah. So as soon as we have the position available, I'll be ready. Well, that position won't be available to you. It's going to be given to so-and-so. Or, we don't want you in this position. There was a team of 6 that went out of their way to make sure that I was removed from a position. And it turns out that they replaced me with someone that they really liked because that someone didn't have any expectations of them. And later on, I heard I should have been there because I was helping them I was helping them make money. I've had.
But is that a place you want to work at?
But again,
that goes on.
But again, we have to keep in mind for me that there are a lot of other things that come into play when it comes to positions that I work in and what have you. I will admit to everybody, I had one job that was absolutely the most fantastic job ever. And I got laid off. That one I could have moved up and within the company. But it was still, I'm much better suited to running things, to growing a business, the way I work is better suited to being the owner and having the vision and having others do things to make the vision happen. I truly am better suited to that. I went through my own growing phases of growing into that, but that honestly has always been my thinking. Had I been able to understand earlier what we're reading now, I probably would have caught off 10 to 15 years of angst and issues that I would have preferred not to have. But who's to say, and I'm not going to say that it's bad that I had those experiences, right? Because they certainly come in handy, and it's something for me to learn from and turn around and share, of which I do when I'm working with young people who are interested or in my mastermind groups. That's some things that I'm able to share with the experiences and everything else. I balk at the put your head down, do the work, somebody's going to notice. Because my experience has been nobody's ever noticed, or if they have, they made a point to ignore. So, again, my experiences. I'm in good shape where I am.
I agree. I'm not condoning the put your head down and just.
Oh no, I know that.
I think
that's an extension of my own experience.
Yeah, there's a whole dynamic in there that comes into play as far as that goes.
So see, my thinking was, if you work in some place that they not recognize your talent or your potential, and they not nurture it, and that's not the place that you would investing your time and your life to it. And Charlene, I think that if you said that if you know what you know now, you might have done that 10 years ago. But, challenges that make you arise to where you are. And sometimes that we need to put in the position that we need to rising up and to do something more creatively. But if you get a job and you get paid $150,000, you don't have the need to go out there to be an entrepreneur in order for you just to worry about how to get the client to work on.
If it is just about money, yes. For me, it's never been just about money.
Oh.
No, there's more to it. It was never just about I had a job. It was just about money. It was the most miserable I'd ever been in my entire life. Oh. All right, Delta, you are not coming in, my dear. I'm going to kick you out and then ask that you try to come back in because I'd love to have you participate in the discussion. So I'm not kicking you out just to kick you out. It's because whatever you've got, your audio visual isn't working correctly. So come back in. So that's what I was alluding to, Han. I mean, there's always more. There's always more than just, if it was as easy as my getting the college education and jumping into a position, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I've got 3 degrees, I mean, come on. It's, I've got the education, I've got the experience. There's more. And I know that. And I know I've turned myself inside out multiple times. I pretty much know how I tick. And what I still need to learn and am. I just wanted to put out there that for those that are like me, to run when somebody says, start at the bottom. You don't have to. I'm with Roy. If you've got an idea, this book is telling us that if you've got an idea, don't even think that just because you don't know how to have the idea happen, it's not going to, or it is impossible, because that's not true. To this point, only 88 pages into a 260-page book, we have been shown experiences and examples of people who had an idea and said, where's the plan? You show me where I'm supposed to go next. Infinite intelligence, right? My God, my higher power, whatever belief system you have that is outside yourself, you show me where I'm supposed to go. And I'm ready for the right people to be in place. I'll recognize the opportunity because I have the idea. I know the end result I want. And these things are falling into place. And that's when it happens. To me, that's when the magic happens. That's what's been happening to me this past year. It happened to me when I first started my business. I said, okay, I'm not quite sure what the heck I'm supposed to do now, or I'm absolutely terrified. Oh, you want white knuckle. My first time I spoke publicly in Seattle, Washington, I spoke at a national conference. And they said I did absolutely fantastic. I have no recollection of even being on the stage. I was that terrified. Thank God for Toastmasters. You had the training to get me through. But that was part of the plan. It needed to happen, right? So that's where I'm coming from, is that when I say that had I understood that I couldn't grasp these principles or concepts when I first read the book, when I was in my 20s, and then I believe I read it again or glanced through it again in my 30s, it just didn't make sense to me. So that's why I'm so valuing the kind of discussions that we're having here.
I read the book a number of times, and every time I read, I understand differently because the experience I am in at the time I read it again. Uh-huh. And that's why, just like you, I'm very valuable those lessons. And because this is the book that you have to really study it carefully, and because there is so many life lessons that if we read through it, we might missing it. And so I'm glad to be a part of this discussions, and I love the book, and every time I pick up a book again, I feel like I read a new book, because I learned something different.
Well, he even suggests in the text that you really won't get it unless you read it 3 times. So I think he because it took him so long just to create his thoughts and follow those thoughts over 25 years, he even realized himself the gravity of this book won't even start taking a hold until you read it 3 times. And I'm sure there are people that have read this book. There are some people I know that read this book once a year, which is a great goal. And I'm sure it gets easier as you go, but
well, this time next year I might still be here if Blab is still here, right? Is it and it makes sense to me to read it on a regular basis if it's viewed as a textbook. This is the first time that I have viewed it as a textbook this year. I've been reading it up to this point. Even as a textbook, though, I was just beginning to grasp some of the concepts. And I understood a lot of others, but I was just, some were, of course, still struggling with. And so, yes, and then Sabrina says she has CDs. I have it on MP3, and I was walking with it. So to have this type of discussion just has been that much better. Well, you are just awesome, Chuck.
It's just the MP3. It's
that's fabulous. But
I have to admit, I was cheating last night, and I was trying to listen ahead to where you were going to read today.
No cheat. That's called coming prepared. And yes, need to study monthly, not just read. Yes, that's why I'm loving this platform. I'm loving that you all are participating in this discussion because it becomes a study group almost,
Yeah, the study
where
group,
where we're looking at it as a textbook. I'm approaching it that way. That's why I'm asking the questions I'm asking. So what do you think of that? Why would you do that? What does this say to you? Go beyond just what Napoleon Hill says in the words, bring it to an experience or an example of what the experience could be.
I think you can see life examples all the time. So it's good you're taking it in chunks, and you can go out and you can actually, if you're paying attention to the world around you, you can say, well, gosh, I can see that work right there, or I can see that the absence of doing that thing not work right there, or asking why was something a success or a failure. You can see it every single day, read a part of the book, and if you're looking for it, as they say, if you're looking for something, you'll probably find it. You can see this all day, every day, and you'll wonder, that's one of those, why did they do that? Or why didn't they do that? The approach is kind of interesting.
Hey, I'm only back for a quick minute. Hi, guys. Bye, guys. Hi. I just wanted to let you know that Preston is asking about your mastermind group. So I know this show is not about that, but I wanted you to be able to give your plug there.
Well,
bye,
thank you,
guys.
Well, it is hitting the 9:00 hour here, just a few minutes past. So I'm going to close down the recording, and then we can have some continued open chat. I can be here for a while. I have a 10 o'clock blab that everybody's welcome to join me in, and that's actually about the power of mastermind groups. So for now, let me close this out on the recording side and say I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you all in the comment section and, of course, in the live stream for sharing your experiences, your thoughts, your views of what you got out of the reading today. Thank you for those who are watching the replay. I'm so glad you joined us. My day is starting out pretty darn good because of you, and I appreciate that. So this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com, saying let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our business. So have